Hello, I'm Brian Richmond, the Supply Chain Director for Crown Agents. In October last year, the lives of Sierra Leoneans changed drastically as the deadly Ebola virus ripped through their country.
As part of the UK government's response to the Ebola epidemic in West Africa, the Department for International Development was needed to transition from a normal short-term emergency response into a medium to longer-term sustainable response in Sierra Leone.
We were asked to procure and transport all of the items for a 100-bed Ebola treatment centre. We did this in 72 hours.
We have been making the decision to operate under the name CAIPA, which is Crown Agents and IPA, in order to formulate the correct response for the UK aid deliveries in Sierra Leone to fight the Ebola crisis.
We wanted passionately to do this. We felt that it was like helping an old friend, as Sierra Leone has in fact been one of our oldest customers, one of the first customers for Crown Agents when we began life in 1833.
CAIPA was tasked with the resupply of all 6 UK-funded Ebola treatment centres and 200 planned community care centres with an end-to-end supply chain.
At the end of last year, Time magazine called all of the Ebola workers on the ground Heroes of the Year. This is the story of our heroes at work.
We're operating the receiving of cargo for the Ebola project, and there's a variety of all products ranging from infrastructure cargo through to the pharmaceuticals that go through for the treatment of the people in Sierra Leone. And it all starts really with the procurement. So the procurement team will purchase the stock on behalf of DFID, and procurement will then transmit the data into the system which is called M-Supply, which becomes visible here at Green Shields Cowie. What happens is we get a pre-receipt which comes through to the system. The pre-receipt is then matched off and married up to the cargo as it arrives, and then once it's been clarified that the cargo purchased is actually what arrived at the gateway, we receive it into the stock holding system, and then visibility is seen out in Sierra Leone for those to call off stock as and when they need it.
In my role as clearance expediter at East Midlands Airport, we receive goods from Liverpool and from other partners into the airport.
Since the operation began, we've imported 1 million kilos of commodities to the UK. We've supplied 1,358 different line items to Sierra Leone and put on over 130 charter flights to Lungi Airport. This equates to a distance of around 1 million kilometres.
So once everything arrives, we send it out airside. Once airside, we consolidate it all, confirm it against the packing lists, and then we start the load onto the AN12 flights. And these flights go every 48 hours from East Midlands to Lungi in Sierra Leone. Sending medical supplies is a key requirement of the supply chain. A lot of the time it's key to keep the items either between 2 and 8 degrees. Sometimes we have to keep them at minus 20 degrees. Sending items like that via aircraft is pretty tricky, and so what we have been using is something called an Enviro container. It keeps the items at the set temperature over the air bridge all the way to Sierra Leone. And once in Sierra Leone, the cold chain continues, keeping the medical supplies at the required temperatures.
So this is the CAIPA Freetown warehouse, which is the heart of the entire DFID supply chain across the currently 6 Ebola treatment centers working here in Sierra Leone. So this is the platform which all resupply goes out to the different sites. So everything from the various warehouses in Europe comes to CAIPA Freetown, and then we distribute it out to the sites as requested. So this allows us both a buffer stock for things that we have in country, so we're able to rapidly deploy essential medicines and supplies as needed, but it also provides a platform for us to be able to take what comes in country and then distribute it out quite promptly.
Many of the items that we are supplying our partners here in the field with require special temperature control, and we are dealing with that in a way that some of the items are transported directly to the implementing partners, and some of the items are brought here in the warehouse for storage. Here we have the freezers and refrigerators and ambient control tents that we are keeping these items in controlled temperature. In that way we are preserving their qualities according to the manufacturer specification. And we are trying to do that here in the field, the same quality as it would be done anywhere else in any other country in Europe.
I went out to Freetown and I saw firsthand the amazing work being done by the CAIPA team on the ground in establishing a long-term supply chain to feed these 7 Ebola treatment centres and ensure that there were no stockouts. Any stockouts meant loss of life, so it was extremely important that we managed to run an efficient supply chain.
Every time you go into the red zone, you have to be fully dressed in PPEs, including the hoods, including the mask, including goggles, boots. So all this need to be supplied. If you run out for a minute, then you shut down the program.
I think we are safe because I've been working for the past 4 months now. Nobody has been affected.
We use PPE, personal protective equipment. They will help us not to contract the disease. The safety of the workers is very paramount to the organization, so I'm very proud of it.
I'm a Sierra Leonean, I'm proud of my country, then I'm willing to work so that we can remove this epidemic in this country.
I'm more safer in ETC than in my home, so working here is good.
CAIPA is ready to support the Sierra Leone government. We have the experience, we have the knowledge, and we have the infrastructure to support the Sierra Leone government to recover from enormous effects which Ebola has had on the country.
Today is the first day in 9 months that school children have returned back to class because of Ebola. It signifies that we're moving in a positive direction. No one knew for a while where this would have ended. It's a good feeling to know that we're slowly, gradually going back to normal.